In the words of Maya Angelou, my mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive, and to do so with some compassion, some passion, some humor, and some style. In my segment, I'd like to take you on a journey to discover all those fun and exciting things we're missing in our day-to-day living. Welcome to Life with Style, and I'm your host, Shannon Yang. Recently, I read Acquired Taste by Peter Mayle. He says in the foreword that, looking back at history, a lot of things has changed and evolved, yet one aspect of human nature remains unchanged. For most of us, he believes, still harbor a latent tendency toward extravagance. It lurks somewhere in the genes, ready to erupt at the hint of good fortune and the drop of a credit card. I guess it's like, we can never explain the persistent accumulation of shoes by a woman who already owns 399 pairs, the acquisition of a second helicopter, a third Ferrari, a fifth house, or a drumful of caviar? Who needs all? And why? And are they really worth the money? I think most of the time, it may seem inappropriate to dwell on these glimpses of high-level expenditure, but they're like life's consolation prizes. Just like when you have really had the authentic caviar, you probably would be somehow judgmental towards a tuna sandwich. As such, I think they deserve to be celebrated. So caviar, you see, the very mention of the word might have you mentally rubbing shoulders with the rich and the knees with the beautiful as you sample the most consistently popular luxury food in the world. From Aristotle to Shakespeare to Evelyn Waugh, and even every cookery expert has redeemed that streak of extravagance that saves us from a life filled with mashed potato recipes. I've always wondered, why is caviar so expensive? And aren't they just like fatty oil little balls that's kind of fishy in your mouth? What are the stories behind those things? Well, I was able to get my questions and concerns answered at an exotic food store in Las Vegas. Let's go take a look. So today, I actually invited Brett from Artisanal Foods to tell us all about caviar.
We do caviar classes. As you saw, we have the sturgeon here for educational purposes. Our main business is, of course, supplying the restaurants and the strip hotels with high-end ingredients like caviar. Caviar is actually at its lowest point in history of consumption, so I would like to see the industry grow as a whole and put things in perspective. Around the year 1900, the United States was the largest exporter of caviar. I pointed out the Pacific white sturgeon. Most of what we were catching around 1900 were those, and we were exporting 600 tons of caviar a year, which is now almost twice world consumption. We produce and consume about 360 tons of caviar around the world currently. The average fish that they would catch was about 450 pounds.
So I want to ask people here, so Christina, when they talk about caviar, so what kind of pops up in your head?
I just think like fish eggs.
Fish eggs?
Is that a thing?
Or like something salty?
Fish eggs, so if it's coming from any other fish, it would be just called roe. So if it's salmon roe or trout roe or whitefish, or actually even capelin like this one, or hackleback, paddlefish, these are all types of roe. It's only caviar if it's coming from a sturgeon.
Oh, okay.
So the stuff that we actually see on the sushi is not caviar, right?
No, that's mostly tobiko. I guess, should we start with what's on your plate?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So if you have a large party or a banquet, this is a great way to do it. You'll see this at large events. So with blinis, it's nice as a hors d'oeuvre to pick up. And all it is, you take cream and you add some enzymes, the same as you get in yogurt. In fact, you can use a little spoonful of yogurt.
Oh, wow.
And then you let it sit overnight at room temperature. We made that fresh here on top of a blini, which is nothing more than a small pancake. You can make those at home as well. And then you can use any type of roe in this case, is what I would suggest. So.
Cheers. You know what?
Cheers.
Cheers. I would rather just taste it by itself. So I'm just going to...
So this one's called capelin.
Capelin.
So this is one of the options that, say, buffets would use at the hotels. So it's very small egg.
It's very salty.
Yeah. That's why I say, so you don't have salt in the creme fraiche or in the blini, so you're using it for its salinity. So now we can move on to something more exciting. And this is the Kaluga. A lot of purebred species have been listed as endangered, and unfortunately there's no differentiation made between wild or farmed. And so when it's put on the most endangered level, it bans all trade, even if it's from a farm. So what the farms have started to do is they will cross two species, because the resulting fish would never show up on an endangered species list because it's not naturally occurring. So they'll take, and it also gives the farmer the opportunity to take characteristics from two different fish that they like, much like a winemaker might blend two types of grapes. They're going to mate two types of fish, and the benefit might be a better caviar, as is the case, I think, with this one, but it also is something which they never have to worry about being prohibited by any country because it's their own fish. But in this case, I'll say it does benefit, because if this was purebred Kaluga, it would be more gray and no green or gold. It would be a gray or blackish color, very soft bead, great flavor, but soft. Now what they've done is they've crossed it with one called Shranky, which is the other species native to China. And Shranky is a fantastic caviar on its own, but it's even better when crossed with this, because it's giving the Shranky's golden color is coming across here, but also Shranky has a nice pop to it. One thing you'll see, hopefully, is a little pupil on each of these eggs.
Little pupil?
You'll see it looks like a pupil, and that is a sign of the cross with the Shranky.
Yeah, I've heard like sometimes you could only serve them on a pearl spoon. Otherwise, it's going to take the taste away.
It is best, mainly because it's neutral. So a mother of pearl or a gold spoon would be good.
Does it have to be like this much when you taste it in order to taste the flavor, or can it be a little bit less?
I suggest a spoon at least that, because that's really only about 1.5 grams, or no, probably 2 grams.
Okay.
And I'd say, yeah, 2 grams lets you really taste and identify the caviar. Once it's opened, it doesn't keep.
Oh, really?
Yes.
But I've heard that you can actually store them in a very cold refrigerator. And
so that is ideal to hold caviar, but once it touches oxygen, really the clock starts ticking, and you have only a few days.
So in order to have the fresh caviar, you have to eat them all like in kind of 3 to 4 days? You
should always buy fresh caviar, and if you have to hold it unopened, keep it in the coldest part of your refrigerator. It's probably the back and bottom, and you'll be fine for at least a week or so. Now, a lot depends on the type of container. So these are both vacuum sealed. These tins. I am a big fan of these tins. They're vacuum sealed. They hold caviar very well. It can last for months in this one. But if it's in a non-vacuum tin like this, or the traditional little blue tins, those really, they're not fully airtight, so they need to be consumed in about a week.
Okay. So what do you think about this one taste from the other one? 那你觉得这个鱼子酱的这个味道，它和刚才那个有什么不一样？我知道不是单单好，就它的口感有什么不一样？口感。So he's saying that compared to the other, the one we had last time, it has a little more. It's a little more juicy, and also it has a very special fragrant aftertaste if you kind of let it stay in your mouth for a little bit. This is really good. Like I like the.
You can taste the freshness.
I know you can taste the freshness, and also I can taste the omega-3, like the oil, like the fat, like kind of like fatty,
awesome.
like fatty little pearls, and it's really soft too.
So with the vacuum tins, you always have to open them with money. It's kind of just a good luck thing in caviar. But,
really? It's like a Chinese superstitious.
So now the farm that the last caviar came from is an outdoor farm where they've set up essentially big traps or nets in a river, and the sturgeon live in there, and the water's flowing through it. This one is coming from an indoor system, where they have huge swimming pools, and they're filtering the water and maintaining oxygen levels. And this farm is really interesting in Germany because they raise more species than any other farm that I'm aware of. They have probably 5 different types. And they're the only farm I know of in the whole world that has beluga. Beluga was traditionally the most expensive, but it's really been unavailable since 2005. And so what this farm did is, because beluga itself is prohibited, they've crossed it with another sturgeon called a sterlet. So they've crossed beluga with the sterlet so that it can be a legal product. And so this is the closest to beluga that we've had since 2005. Purebred beluga would have been much larger than this.
How do they know? How do they decide which fish to cross with? I mean, how?
I think it takes experimentation,
okay.
and also just trying to figure what characteristics do they want from the species.
Get you.
All right, let's give it a try. It's more fishy. It's more fishy. I actually like this one better because I can really tell, like, it's from fish. I mean, the other one is a little bit smooth, I think, in texture. But this one has a more pronounced taste.
And a little more salty.
A little more salty. So they all say that it is a little more fishy. I think everybody agrees on it.
All of these are being cured about the same way, using about 3.5% salt and a little bit of borax. If it's made in the United States, you cannot use borax, but every other country does use it. This next one we have here is Osetra, coming from Israel, and this is an outdoor farm. So with this one, this is a purebred Osetra. Okay. So now they have taken a spring, they've taken the same source of water, it eventually leads into the Jordan River, and they've diverted it through a series of ponds, but it's open to the air, there's no building. And then after the water goes through all of the ponds, it's filtered through a wetland. They usually create different types, like a marsh that filters out all the fish debris, and then that's scooped out and used for fertilizer on fields. What's nice about an outdoor system is that the fish are always living in fresh, clean water, and that water is expelled at the end of the farm. Now, Osetra is one of the most famous types of caviar, and it's distinguished by a nutty flavor.
So is that also one of the, if it's most famous, does that also mean it's one of the most expensive ones?
It is. It is? I don't like to really say. I think you all can be the judge of what is your favorite. I like the Kaluga very much. I think it's an excellent product, and of the 3 that we're trying here, it's by far the best value. So, but I'll just explain. So Kaluga, if you go back just 18 months, 2 years ago, Kaluga was selling wholesale in the United States for around $50 an ounce. And but what's happened in the last couple of years is, to the consumer's benefit, China has been just unloading a large amount of caviar on the United States, and it's unbelievable. I mean, that you tasted the quality of this Kaluga, which I think we could probably all agree was very good, and yet this now costs about 1/3 of what it did 2 years ago. And so the caviar consumer is the winner.
Nice. Tell us what you have in store for our lucky viewers this time.
Yeah, well, we're going to do an ounce of free caviar. I was thinking we'd do the Kaluga with a mother of pearl spoon, and for your winner. Nice.
Okay, Brett, that was very, very informational, and it's very interesting. I mean, I learned a lot from it. So, Brett, can you tell us what your website is? Sure. And also where we can find you, and if, I know that you have like some more classes coming up.
In a couple of weeks, we have a foie gras tasting, and so every couple of weeks we try to do a class about some ingredient that people might find mysterious, and we're open 7 days a week here at Artisanal Foods. The major cross streets, if you're visiting Vegas, are Sunset and Eastern. We're right next to the airport, so a lot of people driving back home to California will stop by our shop. Wow. But Yeah, so artisanalfoods.com. If you're somewhere else around the country, we ship all over the country, and we have hundreds of well-researched high-end foods. So everything from fresh wasabi to truffles, caviar, Iberico ham, and Wagyu beef. So
nice. So for everybody in front of the camera, I really hope you enjoyed this really educational lesson from Brett. And also, if you want to stop by Artisanal Foods, it's just right here in Las Vegas. And also, you will be able, he provides the best price in town. And you know what? I don't want to say too much. I'm going to go off and get some caviar right now. So see you next time. After learning all these and buying on a few tins of caviar, now all I need to do is deciding where and when to spoil myself with these little black pearls. And to me, it is really, in the best sense of the word, a convenience food. Why would I say that? Because, you know, I can eat it in the back of my SUV as I come back from work. I can eat it in bed without having to go through the knife and fork thing, just dump it in my mouth. I can eat it sitting on the floor in front of a fireplace or while taking a warm bath. Well, the best excuse is that at 74 calories per ounce, it will cost you tens of thousands of dollars before you start putting on pounds. It contains 47 minerals and vitamins, plus omega-3 fatty acid. Well, yeah, the only downside is that the sodium is a little high, but what the hell, nobody's perfect. Don't forget to write to me about your thoughts for the show, or if you have a place you like to see in the town, or if you think your business is a real highlight of Vegas life and want it to be featured. We always do a lucky drawing among the viewers at the end of each episode and send out different surprises each week with no strings attached. So maybe you are the next lucky winner. Thanks for watching Shannon's Lifestyle. Don't go away, we will be right back.